As you see, they've got a neck on the floor. He's got his hand on her neck.
He's straight out of Wales with the wind in his sails. He's tipping the scales, Silurian trails, revealing their names while he's lifting their veils. Public assails, no one exhales. Won't read in the mail, it's not printed in braille. No bonus for sales, the light will prevail. He's telling the tale while he's hot on the trail. Whole nother scale, he's hammering the nail. He's trolling and rolling the camera and showing the standard that's double. Exposing the bubble, removing the muzzle. He's always got trouble, he's fighting the muscle and solving the puzzle. He's taking the fight and he's spreading the light and he's doing it right. Taking dackers and night and he's making it bright and providing insight while he's flooding your eyes like a hare in the headlight.
Press, don't even pick on me. Are you watching this? The press aren't allowed to film.
Injustice is served, collar crime is submerged. Don't be absurd, your vision is blurred. He's seen it occur, still right there on the curb. His iPhone record, he's filming the herd. BLM thugs act like cons high on drugs. They wrecking the place, they're smashing the face. He's in with the thick, in with hammers and sticks. Exposing the truth, he's showing the proof. He's trolling and rolling the camera and showing the standard that's double. Exposing the bubble, removing the muzzle. He's always got trouble, he's fighting the muscle and solving the puzzle. He's taking the fight and he's spreading the light and he's doing it right. Taking dackers and night and he's making it bright and providing insight while he's flooding your eyes like a hare in the headlight.
You just don't want to see it there. You just don't want to see the violence. You don't want to see the violence on some of those people. 3 people on a woman.
Support for the vets, pray unless we forget. The pain he besets and the truth he projects. He's a victim of threats, but he never regrets. Live stream the upsets, no printing gazettes. He's taken the test, got the pedo's address. No south, east or west, he streams the protest. No news is suppressed, the whole truth is expressed. Twin standard he tests, he's facing arrest. He's trolling and rolling the camera and showing the standard that's double. Exposing the bubble, removing the muzzle. He's always got trouble, he's fighting the muscle and solving the puzzle. He's taking the fight and he's spreading the light and he's doing it right. Taking dackers and night and he's making it bright and providing insight while he's flooding your eyes like a hare in the headlight.
There's 4, 5 on 1. There's 2 on a girl. They pinned her to the floor. This one's getting a bully boy tactics. That's from the TSG probably. Sergeant, yeah.
Good evening all. Welcome to Real News Live News for the Wednesday edition at 8 PM. I've got a few guests on tonight. They're from PCP Wales. It's regarding the skateathon we got on Saturday in Wales down Aberavon Beach. I'm going to let them tell you a little bit more about it. I'll do that in a second. Yeah, the weekend went great. It was lower numbers up in London, but otherwise it was good. I'll probably explain that on a different show. Okay, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring PCP Wales straight on. Lucia and Kimberly. Evening both.
Good evening, Philip.
Evening. So could you tell all my viewers, first of all, a little bit about PCP Wales, and then we'll go on to the skateathon later on, because the reasons why you're doing the skateathon later on. So if you tell everybody a little bit about the PCP Wales and what you're actually fighting for, that would be great.
So PCP Wales is the umbrella organisation. We got many aims. If you look at our website, www.publicchildprotectionwales.org, you see all our aims on there. So overall aims are child protection, basically, lots of improving training, fighting policies, legislation, frameworks and things like that. So that's the overarching aims of PCP. That's the long-term goals. But at the moment, we are fighting at what's known in Wales as RSE. It's actually CSE, which is Comprehensive Sexuality Education. Some people in Scotland, England and Ireland would have seen some lesson content there, searching for pornography, discussing bondage, anal sex, threesomes, facial ejaculation, and things like that. It's all part of the same education. It's all comprehensive sexuality education. But in Wales, they've taken it a step further. They haven't given us the lesson content yet. They've brought in a piece of legislation which mandates RSE, as they call it here, from the age of 3 to 16 with no parental opt-out, no need to consult us on anything ever again. In Wales, children's rights override parental rights, and above parental rights, we're now looking at something called sexual and reproductive rights from birth. So we are fighting, CSE is such a big thing anyway, you're never going to smash it out in one go. So we're actually fighting to reclaim control of our children's education as a start. So anyone around the rest of the UK, if you haven't had these lessons yet and you haven't got this legislation yet, do not think you're immune. It's coming hard and fast. Your kids have probably experienced it, but obviously you don't know about it. We're on a slippery slope. We're headed to quite a dark place. But in Wales, we have the opportunity. So we haven't had the lesson contents, but we've got this radical piece of legislation. But if we can bust this here in Wales, then we know you're not going to have this legislation in England, Ireland, and Scotland. And we also know that we've made a massive dent in CSE as it is. That will set precedents for the rest of the UK. We can get rid of this for good.
And so you're going to actually take the Welsh Government to court?
No, so we are not actually taking the Welsh Government to court. So the organisation is not actually taking anyone to court. So this is part of PCP. So we support people, we support families. We look at problems they've got mostly in the education system and local authority services, and we've helped facilitate their issues then. So we're actually raising the funds. We're giving people the confidence. We're encouraging them. We're supporting people. We're sharing our skills, basically. Like Lucia's fantastic with numbers. She's really good at crunching the numbers. She's an accountant. So she's given everything she's got in that sense. I'm really good with the policies and sexual safeguarding, so I'm helping with that aspect. We're drumming up the campaign. We're building up the movement. We're raising the funds to facilitate the legal battle.
Yeah, it's really important that we sort of we actually say as it is, isn't it? We're just there to support many parents now who they've either experienced something firsthand or they've just seen stuff that they're thinking, actually, no, I don't want my children learning this. Like, we've got a huge issue with, obviously there's a lot of children with additional needs that are in mainstream schools. And, you know, I've got a nephew myself who's got additional needs, and I know for an absolute fact this type of education, they kind of act a little bit like they have, Tourette's when they hear bad words or something. So, I know for an absolute fact that this type of education would be extremely damaging for an individual like himself. And, Kim, you've worked a lot yourself with SEND children. So, you know yourself about the dangers to that particular, those particular children. But it's not just them, it's all children. Like, we don't want children to be desensitized to sexual content before they're even ready to know about anything, where they're bringing it in from age 3, like at age 3, my children knew nothing about, sex or sexual pleasure. They did not know that the genitals were actually used for sex. But now, with this new comprehensive sex education, they seem to be really focusing on their genitals as being sexual organs. Now, children do not need to know about that until, when they reach puberty. Obviously, then, they're going to need to know about, certain information there. I did actually have a question from one of the parents asking, what is the difference between the sex education that we've always had and this new sex education that's coming in? And, my answer to that was, well, previous, it was more to do with biology and a need to know. So it was more to do really with abstinence as well, where you're not sort of encouraging children to, get into these type of, sexual activities. Whereas this new sex education is definitely more about sexual freedom and giving empowerment for, sort of children and teens to embark on sexual activity. And, there's a lot of people, most people should actually disagree with that, because sexual freedom and promiscuity are certainly things that you don't want any child to be, to be doing. Like, we know that it's going to cause, we know that it can cause mental and emotional damage to youngsters if they are sort of getting engaged into sexual activity too early. So, there's a lot of issues surrounding this education. Peer pressure is one thing anyway, that children do need, or children will find that it does happen. There is peer pressure in schools. I remember, from when I was younger, but now it's almost like that it's been encouraged by the curriculum and encouraged by the schools as well. And, if anything, it should be, we need to be reining this type of thing in rather than encouraging it and, making out that sexual freedom is a great thing.
All the children need to know is consequence of, empowering, no. That is all they need to know. Consequence of this, consequence of that. And when you're a teenager, consequence of consent. You never teach a child to consent, full stop. Consequence of. People think this education safeguards. Show me whereby. Because I've got two teenagers, a 17-year-old boy, autism. My youngest has just turned 14. So my 17-year-old is high risk of being sexually abused. He's also high risk of sexual harmful behavior. He's also high risk of being an abuser. So my son in that environment, obviously I've looked after him. I've got a great education in this. My son in that environment would either be, he's 5 times more likely to be sexually abused because of his behavioural issues. So that takes it up higher again, because these children are sent to people to deal with them. And these people who deal with them tend to be abusive a lot of the time, right? So there's that fact. There's also the fact that they could turn my child, they could make him, as Lucia was saying about her nephew, impulsive, repetitive. Show and tell turns into go and do. They will be putting every child in that class at risk from my son. So they are not equipped to deal with that. So my child in that environment is a risk, could be a risk to other children, and it's a massive risk to himself. Then I've got the youngest, just turned 14. What an absolute gentleman I have raised. An absolute pure, kind-hearted gentleman who they want to put in a classroom and show him videos of how many girls like to have threesomes and how many girls have anal sex, how many girls like to have bondage. They are not putting that image of young girls in my children's head. I have raised gentlemen.
Yeah.
Absolute gentleman, my youngest. And you do not encourage those kinds of activities. I don't want my children having that image in their head of females.
Yeah.
Other people's daughters.
Yeah.
You can have saying about red hot blooded males. Well, I have raised an absolute gentleman for that. A gentleman whose mother is a criminologist, who specializes in child sex abuse, exploitation, and harmful sexual behavior. My gentleman understands the difference between contact and non-contact sex abuse. So my child in some of these lessons will know what's happening is non-contact sex abuse. My child will be within his right to go to a police station and report this non-contact sex abuse. Are the schools ready for that? Are the police ready for that? Does it change because it's in a classroom? These are a lot of things people need to consider, a lot of things that no one is considering. They're quick enough to say it's safeguards. Show me whereby.
Yeah, and the other thing as well, if they're getting comfortable with speaking to teachers about this, and teachers are talking as if it's like, no big deal, then they may be speaking, that they're going to be more inclined to speak to other adults that might, bring it up. If they're going to be comfortable speaking about their genitals in front of a teacher.
Right, there's a hot topic on Twitter now, right? A hot topic on Twitter, and they're begging teachers to use correct terminology. And apparently this experienced social worker from Somerset, by the way, has a really dark history of sex abuse. But this 23-year experienced social worker from Somerset. She's promoting the use of correct terminology. So for me, I'm looking at the institution of the schools. Obviously, institutional abuse is my thing. The research I've just conducted, I know 1/3 of fitness and practice paras in Wales are sexually motivated. I also know a perpetrator. I know models of offending perpetrators. I know the first thing you get rid of the parents. Well, you got rid of the parents if they're in the school anyway, right? You prove the parents, that part is done. So when the first thing they do, they draw attention to genitalia. They talk about genitalia. So to me, that's another process of offending. So what I've done, I've emailed that social worker and I've asked her for her research. I've asked her for the scientific studies to back what she's saying, because my research is telling me that's wrong.
Yeah. Has she got back to him?
If this woman, or man, I think it is, because Jock is a man. So if this man is that experienced and it really does care that much, and obviously they're going to phone me and because I've left my details. I've told them why I want the research. I've explained the reasons why I don't like it. I've also said that I'm putting together training where we should all come together now, look at these issues that can be problematic for prosecution. So I'm really waiting now because I can't find it. I can't find this research that says correct terminology safeguards, because it simply doesn't. It makes absolutely no difference at all. But it makes no difference. A perpetrator is going to talk about it if they're going to talk about it anyway. They're going to draw attention to genitalia, full stop. That's what they do. They draw attention to genitalia. I'll give you an example of a real life paedophile. I don't know if I can say his name now because it might have been released. I'm not going to say the name because just in case it's for the Rehabilitation Offenders Act, I don't want to do that, right? It's just in case. But this was a person in my state. And this person, it wasn't until I read the story in a magazine that I remembered it, because my mother used to work for him. She used to write buses for him. And she must have known something was going on, because she would always put itchy tights on me to go down there, even in the summer, right? They're always too small for me. I hated it. But to know what he used to do, he used to take his hand from the bottom of the leg up the leg and say, does it tickle, 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 towards the genitalia. Same with the conversations. The conversations go towards the genitalia. So I don't understand. I never understand how they are saying correct terminology safeguards when what you should be saying is nobody touches your private area. That's your private area. Wherever your bather is when you go swimming, nobody touches.
Yeah.
By the time a child is able to understand that basic language anyway, they're washing themselves. So not even the parents have to touch them unless, obviously there are the accidents then where they have a bad stomach and things like that. Yes, there's going to be occasions. But as soon as a child, 2-year-olds, it's not all terrible twos for nothing. They're not terrible. They're very independent and want to do everything themselves. So by the time they're 2, they want to be doing this stuff themselves anyway. So we need to be looking at the kids that can't communicate verbally. We've got to keep things simple. So we do not bring in terminology like vagina, vulva, penis. Why would we want to do that? These children should be playing in mud, sand, toys. And all they should know is anywhere under your swimming costume, nobody touches. If they do, you come and tell me straight away. Even if it feels good, even if it feels nice, you come and tell me straight away. Not if it feels good. If it feels nice, carry on, because that's what this education's telling them. If it feels nice, if it feels good, tough, you come and tell us straight away, because that area is against the law. And whoever's touching it is going to get in a lot of trouble. So you need to come and tell me sooner rather than later, because the longer it goes on, the more trouble that person's going to be in. The likelihood is the person that's doing it is going to be somebody the child loves and cares about. They're not going to want to get that person into trouble. So they will want to report it quicker, sooner rather than later, because the longer it goes on, they're going to be in more trouble. They don't want the person they love that's doing that to get in lots of trouble. It's simple. It is simple.
So are they actually
complicating a taboo subject so parents are quick to go, hand it over. But let's just make a point here now. Government reports aren't always the truth, but they've got a little element of truth. So you need to go and have a look at this study done by the Independent Inquiry into Child Sex Abuse the Truth Project, and it's sex assaults in school, right, or in education. Something like that. Quick Google, you'll find it. Sex abuse in schools is an open secret, with 42% of children has been abused by a teacher, aware of abuse being perpetrated by another teacher. So this is what we've got. We've actually got an institution of abusers, because where there's children, there are paedophiles. That's a fact. We cannot ignore that. Then on the other hand, then we've got the sexual safeguarding, which is being made complicated because the teachers aren't trained for it. They're being trained to actually groom the children into consenting, into having these discussions easily. We don't want the children to discuss their genitals easily. They're private.
Are the teachers actually teaching at the age of 3 then about the genitals?
Yeah, because apparently that safeguards. Apparently that safeguards. It does not safeguard at all. There are 2 steps to grooming there already. So the fact it's in school and the school system has already groomed the parent into trust. That's the first step of grooming. Second step, you're already having these conversations. There's only another step left. There's victim resistance.
But the teachers aren't qualified.
Victim resistance can be. That's enough to victim resist. Now, according to this social worker, correct terminology means predators are less likely to abuse if a child can use correct terminology for their genitals. I've never heard that before in my life. I've never come across it. I'm really curious. And if that research is out there, I will read it all. But that is
if that research was out there, we would have come across it by now.
Because it's something that really bothers me. You know, the whole consent really bothers me. So what we've got, we have got a large proportion of predators within our school environment. That is a fact. And the teachers aren't going to know who it is because they're not supposed to know who it is. Simple as that. Right? Simple as that. If they are going to know and pick up on these things, they're going to be criminologists, aren't they? Or they're going to be working in the field of sex offenders. Hence, why they're not in the school staff room. Do you know what I mean? So that's what we got. We got the problem with the predators on one hand. Then on the other hand, then we got teachers thinking they're sexually safeguarding children when they haven't even been taught about institutional abuse and what's happening in their own schools. It's not going to happen. There's too much responsibility placed on these teachers. Teachers need to teach. Teachers need to teach. As far as sexual safeguarding goes, we go in, we train everyone together regularly. When things change, internet changes, new apps come out, new programs come in, they use new ways to get out on children, they use different identities. Teachers don't know this stuff. So we need to go in and teach them all. We need to go in and teach them. We need to tell them what happens in schools. We need to show them what happens in institutions. And more importantly, in Wales, we need to show them what happens in Wales. Because Wales is a dark country. We've failed our children so many times at institutions. It is insane. Bryn Estyn, the Waterhouse Report. The Waterhouse Report is 900 pages long. That was published in 2012. Only 10 years ago that was published. From when? The 70s and 80s. So nothing's changed. Nothing at all has changed. And this is where our issue is. People think there's safeguards because they've been told there's safeguards because they don't know enough to understand. When your car, right? If you're going to protect your car from a car thief, you think like a car thief. If you're going to protect your house from a burglar, you have to think like a burglar. If you're going to protect a child from a sexual predator, you need to know how to think like a sexual predator. And sexual predators talk about genitals, and they think children can consent. Fact. Capital
we've seen it with. It was quite open, wasn't it, with the PI, the paedophile information exchange? They quite openly said that it was okay for children to engage in sexual activity with adults, and they'd even gone on to say the reason why they felt so bad as they were older was because society told them it was wrong, not because it was wrong. And this is, this is.
Go sorry though.
No, go on.
And I want to defend teachers as well because when we were outside the Senedd once, I'll always go back to this teacher. I'll always go back to her, right? And I was having a discussion with her, and she was talking about how she teaches the children how to consent. And I looked into that woman's eyes, and when she was talking, she was touching her chest, and That's a sign of love. Do you know what I mean? She's touching her heart. She's caring, and that woman genuinely believed she was empowering those children by teaching them consent, which is negotiation skills. Consent is so problematic for prosecution. Paedophiles think children can consent. If look, let's go back to Tom O'Carroll. Let's look at his most recent interview on 60 Minutes. A 4-year-old consents when you compliment her knickers.
It's sick.
Right, absolutely. This is what I mean. Let's put this stuff into context now. Teachers don't know this stuff. Why don't they know this stuff? Because they teach us. Because they're teachers. They don't work with sex offenders. That is why. And so we got the sex offender fields over here, the criminal justice system. The criminal justice system, you've got a multidisciplinary response, right, to child sex abuse. Multidisciplinary. You've got everyone in that, right? You've got all different fields coming in to deal with this response. But you're expecting a teacher to safeguard in a classroom.
I know.
You always the criminal justice, right?
Yeah.
But you're expecting one teacher to deal with in a classroom that knows absolutely nothing at all about it. That teacher that's had their degree in whichever subject they've chosen to do it in.
Yeah.
It's unfair. It's second failure. And I will go as far as to say it's done intentionally, not by 99% of the people. But like I'm saying, it takes one person in one prime position to allow things to go through. Teachers aren't going to know the dark side of child sex abuse because they teach us. They're only going to know if they're in the dark underworld. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
what we're facing here it is a very dangerous situation. Nobody understands how dangerous it is. This is, and if in actual fact, Wales, this is what really grips me. In Wales, part of their child sex abuse safeguarding policies for peer-on-peer abuse, not for teacher on pupil abuse, mind, just for peer-on-peer abuse. One of their things in their targets is RSE. And they're expecting me to sit down and keep my mouth shut about it.
Yeah. Like we know for an absolute fact, as you said before, children do, you tell them something, they're going to do it. It's not that, that's all right, I'll leave that till I'm 16 until I'm old enough to do it. They're not going to think like that. If you start giving them all this information, it's going to give them ideas. And
of course it is, yeah.
That is going to increase the peer-on-peer abuse, if anything. It's awful.
One thing that we do keep getting as well is this is age and developmentally appropriate. So, if it's age and developmentally appropriate, right, what you need to know is you need the same tools the teachers got. Because I want to know when my child is age and developmentally appropriate too. So, I want the magic tool they got in school.
Yeah.
It's going to tell me my child is ready. Because if they know my child is ready, because it's age and developmentally appropriate, even though there's 30 kids in that class, they know my child's ready for it. Then can I have a lend of that tool as well so I'm ready for it and I can support? It does not exist.
It don't exist.
It does not exist. So let's look at just the education system in general in the classroom. You got children in that class whose birthday was on September the 3rd. Then you've got another child whose birthday is the following August the 30th. That's an entire year, right? So that's a massive difference in a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old, a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old, a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old, a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old, a 9-year-old and a 10-year-old, a 9-year-old and a 10-year-old is a criminal age of responsibility. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying, Biala?
Yeah.
But then we got the Welsh schools, so the Welsh teaching schools, right? Now, they are very spread out across South Wales. So I'm only speaking for South Wales here. I can't speak for North Wales, right? So again, we've got mixed classes even further there. So we could have up to 3 years of children in one classroom. So we haven't just got the September to August. We got the September to August.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Then
yeah, my children's
child, that's the age of criminal responsibility. That's a lot of development.
Yeah, my children were actually, because they were in such a small school, there was actually 2 years in some classes. So yeah, you would have 8-year-olds with 10-year-olds there.
Yes.
And when they're doing these lessons, they're going to be doing them per class, aren't they?
Obviously, what the school is telling us now, this education's age and developmentally appropriate. So these children have obviously been already grouped together for their age and developmental appropriateness. So we need the tool, the magic equipment the teachers had to put these children in their own little groups of development. We need that as well, don't we? As parents, we need that as well.
Yeah.
It does not exist.
It doesn't exist, of course.
It sounds good. This is not Ron Seal. It is not doing what it says on the tin. Is it?
Personally, I don't think children should be taught any sex education. My personal opinion, at least until 10 or 11, and that should be in a biology class, because that's how I was taught sex education. Obviously, kids growing up, they learn off other children. Do you mean about sex education? But it should mainly be done in the home. I personally think, unless it's done with a teacher who's specifically qualified, like you said, in this subject, because otherwise this is going to open up a lot of doors to a lot of abuse coming along, and I'm afraid I certainly don't agree with this. I don't agree.
There are teachers out there qualified to deliver this, but those teachers are actually they're in university. They're in university teaching these specialist complex fields. That's the only people, and they are within that field. So those are the only teachers out there who could actually teach an element of this.
Yeah.
This is outside stuff. This should never even be in the classroom. And if you're looking at safeguarding anyway, you should be having these discussions regularly. Just like when you're crossing the road, you look left, you look right, you stop, look, you listen. So how many times we drum that into a child? We don't push him out in front of a car to teach him not to get run over.
Yeah. Do you know this whole sort of RSC thing and this comprehensive sex education, it kind of like reminds me of, when they teach about the dangers of drugs. Now, this RSC is almost equivalent to someone who enjoys doing recreational drugs and coming into the classroom and saying, actually, it's a good laugh as long as you don't take too many class A's or whatever. And, you wouldn't tell children to monitor the amount of recreational drugs you take. You literally, like if any education, you just talk about the dangers and you say it's a no. So sex with children, when you're talking about sex and children, it's so dangerous and so damaging. So why are they even like making it out to be a good thing? And we have seen lesson content in Scotland, which is really shocking because it's shown to primary school kids and it's actually got depictions of cartoon characters and showing it to be really pleasurable and explaining like the process. Why do children need to know that sex is pleasurable when they're in primary school?
Well, the truth is that is for that's for perversion.
Yeah.
That is for perversion. That we can't scoot around the subject now. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
That is perversion. And there is so many hundreds of thousands of journal articles. Many academics have written about this. Pedophiles have written about it themselves, right? We are playing right into their hands. And because the entire population is so ignorant, which this is a taboo subject, who the hell wants to look at this kind of stuff? Who wants to discuss it? Like we discuss it. Nobody really does, do they? Nobody wants to discuss it. But we have to. We have to discuss it. So we got one half of the population doesn't want to hear about it, doesn't even want to think about it. Then we got a huge proportion of the population that can't wait to get their claws into a child. And that is a fact. Let's look at the figures of children being sexually abused. If it is 1 in 20, that's 54,000 in Wales. Are they abusing themselves? Are they abusing themselves? So if it is 1 in 20, right? How many adults do you know?
Are you asking me that question? How many adults?
How many adults do you know in general, innit? So, what you really need to think is 1 in 20 those could quite possibly be as well. And you'd be a fool. You'd be a fool to think otherwise.
It's
This
scary.
is the reality. And until people face reality, the person they sat next to on the couch, the person that brushes their teeth in their sink, the person that shares their toilet and their bathroom could quite easily be abusing their children or somebody else's children. Until we actually face, and that is a possibility, we're never really going to get anywhere, are we? Because that's the truth. That's the truth here.
Yeah.
And until we start having these discussions, we're doing nothing for the children. Because access, opportunity, and secrecy are the 3 tools as in a predator's toolbox. That's all. Access, opportunity, secrecy. You know, at least when you go and build a house or paint your car, you're taking a screwdriver or a crowbar or something. You can see it. You can get done for going equipped. You can't get done for going equipped. See a child? Because your access, your opportunity, and your secrecy can't be seen.
How did this legislation even get through Parliament, our Assembly? That's what I can't understand. How can nobody actually, the parents around Wales, not know about this? Because they've got this legislation gone through the schools, and it's going to come out now schools in September. How comes we don't know about it?
Well, Phil, we almost didn't know at all.
Yeah, I realise.
I would not have known anything about this if it wasn't for the fact that I came across, I didn't even know Kimberly back in July 2020 is when I first met her. I knew nothing about it. I remember when, my son hadn't started school yet. So it must have been about 2010, 2011. And I remember seeing something or hearing something about sex education from 3. So my son he was 2 at the time. So it would have been 2010. And I heard about it and I felt sick to the stomach because I was like, there's no way I want him, my little baby, I was like, there's no way I want him learning about anything to do with sex. I was like, I don't think I'm going to want to, send him to school. But that was the only thing I heard. And I haven't heard anything about it since then. I can't even tell you where. I don't know if I'd read it somewhere. So I just thought, hearsay, it's not happening. So it was only like last year. No, it wasn't last year, about a year and a half ago, when I come across Kimberly. And, you already had a couple of people with you, didn't you, at that point? Because I know Rachel, it was Rachel Evans, who is our mutual friend, who I heard about it from. And it was an absolute shock. And I had to read up on stuff because there was no mainstream information at the time. So I really had to look into, like what the girls were saying. And I came across that pilot scheme and the All About Me schools that were happening in England. I knew nothing about that pilot scheme until I spoke with Kim. And that pilot scheme alone it's absolutely shocking. How didn't that get out to everyone? Because obviously
it kind of did. Am I unmuted now? Yeah, it kind of did. But what it was, so it was a parent that came across it and she had shared it, and it kind of did go viral, but they kept the lid on it. They tried to make out it was only in Warwickshire Council. They even tried to say that it ended in Warwickshire Council, but obviously did a bit of digging and found that it was UN. But this is it, right? It's like pure chance. So I knew about this education in 2013. I knew of its existence. But it wasn't until the Wales Online article where they said we'd lost parental right for sex education. Now, I've been into education for 15 years. My son has special needs, additional needs. So, but he'd been homeschooled since October 2019. So from October 2019, there was I didn't take no interest in anything. I had my hands full, So, and it was literally chance, pure chance that I just seen that headline in Wales Online, and your stomach just drops and you know what it is. Then I just went straight to the draft and found out if it wasn't for that Wales Online article, we would already have these lessons. There would have been no resistance at all. You know, it would have just flown straight through. There would be no, the government wouldn't be holding back on the lesson content. You know, it would have come in hard and fast now. But this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to drag it out now, and they almost got it in. It wasn't in their manifesto. It was never mentioned. It's just something that they've taken upon themselves, and they almost got it in without us knowing.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't until after the campaign that we found the information on the fact that all 4 governments had signed up to it on the 1st of March 2017. So they all signed up to it together anyway. So we, you know, so, and even like as much as what I knew about the whole global CSE and the campaigns and stuff like that, even now every day I'm learning something new. You know, there's always something new, because although I was aware of it, you don't really go digging, because the truth is this, right? You really aren't that bothered unless it affects you, and that's the truth.
Yeah,
No.
that is how many. It's almost like people want to just stay out of it, don't they? You know, they hear something, and if it doesn't affect them, they'll just leave it. Because a lot of people have said it to you and myself, because obviously, you know, your children are not in school; they're home. Your youngest is homeschooled, and your oldest is no longer in school anyway. My 2 are in comp. They miss. My youngest one misses the deadline for it to be mandatory. So she literally misses it by a year.
Yeah, no, I don't think the rollout is to begin. So the deadline is where all the schools, it's got to be implemented in all schools. So they can't have teething problems from that point.
Right. So it is, but people do think, oh, it's not going to affect your kids. And I'm like, because they also think as well, you know, in comp, it's fine. You know, they're going to know about sex. But yeah, it's concerning what they're teaching in comprehensive as well, because obviously, you know, that they are going to learn, they do need to know it by then. You know, they're going to need to know about like the changes in their body. But it is actually that, I think it's the Brooks, is it the Brooks website? And that's got all the education content for comprehensive school. I was absolutely appalled reading some of the things on there, because it's like, well, I wouldn't want to be learning about this, and I'm 41. So why would I want my, you know, my pre-16 children to be learning about it? It's absolutely insane. And, you know, it's really these people who, you know, they're very sort of, you know, sexual, very promiscuous, very empowered to be talking of. They're the people that are going to be teaching, you know, they're the people on these Brooks websites and that are giving advice to children. Nah, you're not giving advice to my children. Thank you very much.
My son wants to go to school. My son, obviously, so he's changed from a Welsh school. He wants to go to an English school. So, but then we had lockdown and things like that. So obviously, we're going to put him into a new school to learn a different language, teach in a different language, and where there's masks and things like that. But obviously, I am now, you know, I've just completed that report on sex abuse in schools in Wales. I've got, like I said, I've got a gentleman there. I hope that one day, you know, some people out there are going to be really proud to have him as their son-in-law. And and I want to keep him this way. You know, I want to keep my son in a way that respects women, that understands sexual activities for later in life after relationships. And I'm not having any school out there undo the hard work that I've done. There is not a single school teacher in the whole of the UK that is qualified to do this better than myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the thing is, now my son has to suffer in education. So I've got to juggle between my eldest son's additional needs and educating my son. And you've got to overcompensate as well. Got to overcompensate, you know what I mean? Because they're not around people as they would be in school. So you've got to take them places and you've got to engage in more stuff, you know. And I'm pretty crap compared to the other parents like that out there, you know. So he's become like my friend. It's a good job we're the same size. We can do things together. But he wants to go back to school. My son is not going into that environment where I believe are illegal activities and he's possible risk of well, he's not going into an environment where no children are being sexually abused.
Yeah.
So this new legislation that the Welsh Assembly brought in, what research did, where did the research come for that legislation?
Right. Right. Well, which part, Phil? Which part? So as you know,
All
it's
of
a
it.
whitewash. It's a
All of
whitewash.
it, because at the end of the day, if they brought in legislation, the AMs should have researched before they decide to vote on this to bring her into Wales.
So the narrative is these they are their sex expert panel, which is made up of a few head teachers, a few people from Cardiff Uni, and a few ministers from the Senedd. Professor Emma Reynolds, they wrote this document. They pretty much copy and pasted lots of stuff from the World Health Organization. It's word for word exactly the same. They copied and pasted a load of crap about safeguarding. So that's what they say and it's come from, okay? But when you look in the global documents, you'll see there was a study done in England to fetch it in to see for us to be the last people in Europe to have it. When you go back further again, then you'll see that it's actually United Nations and the World Health Organization. They use in terms such as sexual from birth, early childhood masturbation, all this started from birth, sexual rights, la-di-da-di-da. You go back further again, you see that it's actually come from child abuse. So, do you know what I mean? So the narrative they're using here, they're making out that it's come from Cardiff University, but then the documents higher up are telling us they signed this contract. So, yeah.
It all stems back, when you say in child abuse, it's Alfred Kinsey and the Kinsey Institute, the work that they did, which is absolutely horrific. You know, like you did a really romantic video on that.
I did a few videos on my phone the other night, and it was like early hours in the morning. I'm actually in the middle of putting a video together. So I've got the Kinsey app. Now, the Kinsey Institute is very important because they are chief advisors to UNESCO, right? So they do a lot of research for UNESCO, and they've got this app. So they're still collecting this data to this day. And there is a warning on there. And it says, although this app isn't for children, if we find out children are using it, we will delete that data. Right? So that's the warning for children, right? So when you look in the pornography part, there is a section called child modeling. Right? That's the pornography part. When you're looking at the age part, now bear in mind, this comes from America, okay? So when you're looking at the age part, you've got 20 and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But we've also got 20 and under. But in America, the age of consent is 18. So why have they got 20 and under?
Yeah. I know, like how much under it should be 18, yeah, just up to it. Yeah, 18 and over, yeah.
It'd be all over 18 is full stop. So why has he got 20 and under? Well, between 18 and 20? Don't you mean between 18 and 20? No,
so you meant to say, yeah, you say 18 to 20, wouldn't you? If it was legit and it was for adults.
But the good news is, you can also look. So like for our website, you can see how many people has viewed it, where. So the good thing with this, I filmed everything on it. So I got all the videos on now. They will be put together, but I was so tired to go through it. So the real good thing is, so they got like this, the world map, and they got like balloons where people have used this app. So when you go from it tells you how many people have used it. So there has been people using it in Cardiff. The last time it was used in Cardiff was years ago, and it's only been used twice in Cardiff. Somerset as well. Somewhere in Scotland, and I think London had 118 hits, and I think the last time it was used was last summer. But when you go over to America, then you got places like California, all different places, 780, 430. So the good news is it's not used a lot in the UK. So we can, do you know what I mean? So we can get a little bit of comfort from that. It's used quite a lot in Italy as well. It's very interesting. Like I said, I haven't got it on my main mobile phone. I've got it on this phone I use in the house. This phone is always used for editing videos anyway. So I went through all the options just to see what I could do. So although I didn't actually submit the information I was keying in, I was just keying over, what does this do? What does this do? What does this do? It's a very vague app. But yeah, so the truth is they do actually still take this data now. It's not as detailed as it was back then. I don't know. I don't think anyway. I don't know. Maybe there's more options after you submit it. I don't know. But as far as I've gone on it, It hasn't got the details like they have in the book, Human Behaviour and Sexual Mail, but it does allow for the option in pornography, the type of pornography, child modelling, and the only thing in the terms and conditions for child warning or child safety is that tiny little paragraph that says, although this is not intended for children to use, if we find out the child has been using it, we will delete that data. We will report it to police, or it will be reported to child services. None of that. If we find out a child has used this. But they're saying, 20 and under.
Yeah, I know exactly what.
Get everyone under the age of 18, whether that's in America or in the UK, everyone under the age of 18 is a child anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Regardless of age of consent.
Yeah, even though, the age of consent is 16, they're still minors, aren't they, up until they're 18. So
yeah,
there should be that protection for these, for children 16 to 18, even against predators and groomers.
Oh yeah, if you click that 20 and under button, you should be looked at.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean, monitored for a while, because there's only 2 years then between, between it being illegal. So if they were an ethical organisation, there would be lots and lots of safeguarding things within that app. There would be policies, there would be responses for it, there would be a process to follow. We are Public Child Protection Wales. We are a community organisation, no different to the Bowls Club, but we've got processes to follow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The football team, the kids' football team up there has processes to follow.
Yeah.
There's none on you.
Yeah, and that app is serious stuff, isn't it? They're not just asking people what their favorite color is. They're actually talking about proper sensitive sexual stuff.
And for them to call it child modelling as well, that was the first time I'd actually seen it referred to as that. But I don't like the term child porn anyway. But no. Child modelling, this is it. So this is the difference in language they use as well. So again, going back to the consent and the pleasurable feelings, we're looking at there's two different people looking at this, guys. There's the paedophiles who we see as ugly, vile, weirdos, creatures, but there's a population out there that understand paedophile is child love. Child love. It's love, it's sensual, it's caring. So do you know what I mean? So this is where people need to be very careful. This is why everybody needs to understand the language. This is why we all need to start talking about it. Because they're very fine lines, you guys. And we are playing into their hands a lot more than what we think. And I do believe as well, if we were as an adult nation far more educated, we would see as well that some of our behaviours do contribute towards it. And like even down to the teachers teaching consent, they understood the implications of that, they wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, I was going to say that, Kim.
They talked about it. Even if they knew, if they had an entire session on perpetrators of abuse, so understanding the different forms of abuse, why they abuse, excuses for abuse, offenders' narrative, they would be like, why am I teaching consent?
Yeah.
Why am I? If do you know what I mean, just one session on that, they'd be like, what? Why is this in a classroom? Everything would change. Everything would change. And that's why we have not got this robust training in place. That's why we haven't got this intensive. Do you know, this is why we're passing the buck. Like I said, look at the criminal justice response to the schools response. Schools are where the kids are. That's where the safeguarding is. That's where the prevention needs to be. But here we are with a multidisciplinary response to criminal justice, but we can't do that in the classroom. But that's where we need to be. Prevention.
Yeah. And every single person that works and, they're qualified in these fields of, child sexual abuse and, do the same thing as you, criminologists, they all completely agree, don't they? As soon as they see those documents, those original documents from the World Health Organization and from UNESCO, they know straight away, hang on, this is wrong. yet teachers are not gonna, you know, a lot of the safeguarding the teachers have, it's so minimal. You know, we did it ourselves, didn't we? And it was.
And bottom line is this: safeguarding is level 2 safeguarding is, you know, if it's risky behaviour, you report it to the safeguard lead. So let me tell everyone, put that into context. So the girls are safeguard trained. If there's something that they're concerned about, they report it to the safeguard lead, who is me. What's my job? Do I spring into action? Do I go in and save that child? Do I investigate? No. Safeguard lead simply decides whether it gets reported to social services, police, or the safeguarding board. It's as simple as that. Sounds partial, isn't it? Safeguard lead, safeguard trained. Yeah. And when you're safeguard trained and a safeguard lead, who is anyone to come along and tell you it's not good enough? Or, you know what I mean? But that's the level required. You know, now, like, so we've done it just for the sake of doing it, basically, because we've got it to be PCP, you know. And even though it's like, even though we levels are above that, you still got to do it just for a base thing. That's basically what safeguarding is. If teachers or people on the ground are concerned, they report it to safeguard lead, and safeguard lead passes it on. It might not go no further than that paper. That's not safeguarding. That's not safeguarding. How's that safeguarding?
And then they expect them to be teaching all this in the school, in the classrooms. Yeah, it is crazy, and they blame a lot of the stuff as well on the things that they see on the internet, and they say, well, they have to learn it in the schools because otherwise they're going to get their only education of sex from the internet and from pornography. And you know, we've said this before, haven't we?
So why aren't they telling them you stay away from it, full stop?
Absolutely.
Why are they showing them the different types of pornography?
Yeah. I actually can't watch. I see some things and it actually makes me gag. I was watching it was a new sort of animated cartoon thing. And this is a thing as well. Sex is everywhere. You can't get away from it. You know, like there's, you know,
after 9 p.m. Top shelf after 9 p.m. Everything would be top shelf and after 9 p.m.
Exactly. Well, I was watching, it was an animation. It was on late, so it wasn't on like a prime time. It was called Human Resources. And it was like in a cartoon, you know, cartoon animation way. I actually, some of the things that was, because I thought I'll check this out because it did look a little bit weird. And yeah, some of the things actually made me gag because it was very, very just showing these cartoon characters bonking everywhere and semen everywhere. And I actually like felt like gagging because it was just so like, oh, repulsive. But this is the sort of thing, this is where we're going, you know, like they're almost like desensitizing children to all this. And now they're going to bring it in the classroom, for goodness sake, you know. What is going on with this world where they want children to think that this sort of thing is okay? Well, even adults, like even for adults to think that that's just normal is, you know, concerning in itself. But, you know, we're talking about children here, and children's brains are like sponges.
Well, you know what they're doing. Let's not skirt around it. They've invested £1 million to decriminalise sexual activities with a young person, which is age 10 to 24. So let's just be straight about it. Yeah. There's no pussyfoot anymore. Yeah. And the reason why I'm mentioning is because I've already emailed the place now, and I've asked them the question because there's a place in Wales. There's 200 organisations that signed a declaration, and amongst that declaration, it's full of rights, it's full of this, that, and the other, promising the world. Blah, blah, blah. There's a section on there that decriminalises sexual activities. They've changed it now. They've changed the word now to adolescence, I think.
Yeah.
And so it's these sexual. It's basically age 10 and over, right?
Yeah.
So and there's a place in Wales that's on that list of 200. So you can't attack them because, like I said, it's a big document. And in that big document, it's only one small. It's in a section, but it's a section within a section. So I can't even say you section 12 to section 12A thing. It's not that, right? I'm not. That's not the section. I'll tell you the section when I'm ready to tell you the section. So I've written to them and I've asked them. I said, look, you know, I've come across some information stating you're one of the 200 organisations that signed this declaration. Can you confirm if that's true or not? And I said, if it is true, can you, in your own words, please give me a statement on section la-di-da-di-da? And because the thing is, you've got to give people a chance. You can't go flying off the handle saying, you're involved in this, you want to lower the age, because you can't do that, right? So the only thing you can do, you've got to give these people a chance, because they might have only skimmed that document. They might not understand that actual section. But we'll see now if we get a reply from them, won't we?
Yeah. I won't hold my breath, Kim.
So how comes Wales has an opt-out It has an opt-out until September, then you don't get a chance to take your child out of school, but England hasn't got the same opt-out.
Well, actually, England has. So England started off like us, but it wasn't age 3. It was a bit older. I think it was age 5. So what they've managed to do now, they've managed to say you can remove your child from the sexual part if they're in primary school. That's what they're saying now in England. But that's just a quick policy twist. If you actually look at the RSE pages, PHSE, and all stuff like that, you'll see that it's down to the teacher's discretion to define whether that lesson is of a sexual nature or biology.
All right.
So are you really going to know anyway? If that teacher thinks that this is, well, like I said, that teacher's not going to know that discussing genitals is a process of grooming. So that teacher doesn't know that anyway. So how's a teacher going to define what could be sexual and what's actually biological? Stick to science, mate.
Yeah.
So how are we going to fight this as parents and grandparents?
If I had my way,
this is it now.
I would be on a big Welsh pony and a spear going through the stern if I had my way. But obviously, I haven't got my way. I haven't got a pony. I haven't got a spear. Got a Renault Clio. That's it. So, but we gotta go to the courts now. We've tried our best. We've done a petition. We've written, we've protested, we've tried our hardest to get information out there. We've had to battle against COVID restrictions and censorship and everything else. But now it's time to pound those pavements now, guys. We are taking it to court. Well, I'm not saying, when I say we, let me just make something very clear. When I say we, I mean the country.
Yeah.
When I say my kids, I mean everybody's kids, right? So let's just get that clear now. When I say we, from the day one, it's been our campaign, it's been the people, it's been, so when I say we are taking them to court, we're all taking them to court. Even the person that gave us £1 is part of taking them to court. So we're attempting to get people into that courtroom to obtain answers.
Yeah, because we haven't been able to get answers so far. So that's, we need them to, be in a court of law and say, right, we're doing this because of X, Y, and Z. And hopefully we have a good judge who has got, has some morals and will, sort of stop it. But we don't know that for sure. So the main thing we need is a movement. We need everyone talking about it. We need everyone outside that courtroom when we're there. We need, we can't let them, if push, if the worst case scenario happens and, we don't get anywhere in that courtroom, we don't want them to be able to just swift it under the carpet because no one really knows about it. We need everybody outside and, make it as difficult as possible for them to ignore us now. So that's what we need, is a huge movement. Everyone's speaking about it. Everyone, donations are really important because obviously we need to facilitate this court case. So donations is hugely important, but raising awareness and just getting everybody knowing about it is more important again. Because if everybody knew how harmful it was and the implications, if the whole country knew about it, we wouldn't be in this mess, because every single parent would be outside the schools and saying, no, you're not doing this.
Well, that's why we haven't had the lessons here in Wales yet, because if we had the lessons here in Wales, we wouldn't be on this live now, Phil, because heads would have rolled.
Yeah.
We'd have far less to worry about than a little pocket-sized ginger from the valley, that's for sure. Heads would have rolled, and this is why they've done this.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to Saturday now. What is? I'll put this up. So, would you like to explain what's happening Saturday?
So, as you know, guys, so PCP, what we do is we support parents, we're giving people confidence. We are the main instigators of raising the funds to facilitate this legal battle to support the parents going forward. So, to do that, we've got a series of sponsors. This weekend, we're doing a 24-hour skate-a-thon.
Yay! So excited. Starting from we're in, what's it called? Aberavon. Am I saying that right?
Yeah,
Aberavon seafront.
So it's Aberavon Promenade, guys, from 2 p.m. on Saturday. So we're going to be there from 2 p.m. right opposite Aberavon Hotel on the green. We're just going to be skating up and down the promenade. We got teams of 6 to 10 people. People really haven't got in teams. I think they're just coming along to skate. So we're not going to have people skating for a full 24 hours. We're just going to have people skating throughout the 24 hours. So from 11 p.m. then we're going to be going over to Barglen Energy Park. We'll be over there from 11 to 7. We're going to set up camp over there, guys. So we're going to have, I know I'm taking my tent, Lucia's taking her tent. We've got a little fire. We'll have the kettle over there. We've got a few lights as well. Nice and private, guys. And now it's a bit of a dog walking central. Back then to the promenade for the following day, which is Mother's Day. What better way to spend your Mother's Day than fighting for your rights? So, fighting to keep the kids' education from the Welsh Government's mitts. So, yeah, so it's going to be a big weekend, beautiful weather. What do we need? We need skaters. We need people to cheer us on. We want people to come along and talk, come and get some information, volunteer, help us carry out staff. Just come and be there, be part of it. Share Facebook posts. I'm not going to be on Facebook, so I'm completely banned anyway. Anything you see, share. Ask your friends to buy us a coffee. I got to say this, when you go on the fundraiser page and if you do your donation, it adds a little bit of a charge. If you click change charge, it takes that charge off, okay? So I know that's putting a lot of people off because the platform's adding stuff on. So it makes you do that change. But we so desperately need funds, guys. I know times are hard. I know things are getting expensive. The end of March, we're all going to feel it entirely. But come on, look, at the end of the day, money comes and goes anyway, doesn't it? The children's future's at stake here. And look, we're doing all the hard work, but we can't do it on our own. We need everybody there now. Everybody needs to get involved. Let's just have a bit of fun. Have a picnic, bring a picnic. Like I said, we're going to be on the green. So I know a lot of people don't like going on the beach because of the sand or whatever. There's so much to do there. There's the park, there's the green, there's the outdoor gym, there's the beach, there's the rock pools at the end, the sand dunes down the other end. You know, there's so many reasons to be there and very few reasons not to be there. So if you're close or you're up for a bit of traveling over the weekend, you'll get a warm welcome from us. Come and join us if you want to spend the night with us, pitched up as well, drinking tea, chatting. Well, putting the world to rights, I'll say.
Yeah, and it's going to be a really nice weekend as well.
You all have?
It's going to be a really nice weekend as well. It's sunny. Like, you know, how often do we get such a sunny weekend? So we're so blessed that we've actually picked the right weekend, because we were originally going to have it back in February, weren't we?
Yeah,
and it was like,
was it Storm Eunice?
It was it Storm Eunice? I think it was.
Yeah.
So we were almost skating with Storm Eunice, but luckily, Kim, you actually said at the beginning of the week, let's just move.
And we've gone from one extreme to the other now, haven't we? Yeah. So I just want to say something, a little thing here as well. So it's not just us skating, there are children that are skating, and there's children that are skating for every year they've been alive. So we've got a 7-year-old skating for 7 hours. We've got an 11-year-old skating for 11 hours. And although we've got the beautiful weather, and that's really going to put a smile on our face, it's also going to cause us problems. So, you know, these kids are going to need plenty of fluid. They're going to need plenty of encouragement. We got certificates, we've got medals. Come along.
Yeah.
You know, if you get stuck in, right, the kids aren't going to go away empty-handed. If you want to put a smile on the kid's face, we guarantee that we'll make the kids smile. So come on, guys, get down there. You know, even if we haven't got a pair of skates, ours might fit too. Come along, and then just bring an extra pair of socks in case you got, you know.
Yeah, or a skateboard. If you want a skateboard.
Something, innit?
Talking about fun, we had a little bit of fun today, didn't we, Kim?
Well, isn't it? The thing is,
shall I play the video?
No, let me just explain my history. So this skate-a-thon was my idea. We have got a British champion ice skater on the team. Did she choose it? No, she didn't. It was me, the one who cannot skate. So today, with the challenge starting on Saturday, 24-hour challenge starting on Saturday, 3 days before I learned to skate.
Well, it's your second time you've skated, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but the truth is, the first time was only 5 minutes.
So
I had to cut that bit out of the thing because I went and kissed, because I said, "Guess I'm done now." Kirbs goes, "You've already been doing it for years." I said, "What?" So I edited that bit out of the video. So if you actually look at the video, I started skating, and then it gets dark. That was just pure coincidence.
So it looked like you were skating for longer than you were, but
last game, let me grasp me right up. It was only 5 minutes.
All right, I'm going to play the video from today. Okay.
Yeah, please do.
Trying to look professional.
You're far from it.
She's a smooth operator. All right. Oh yeah. I'm actually really enjoying it. I got it now, haven't I? Windburn.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, I thought you did amazing. Actually, you did
Do it all day,
really
Do
well.
it all day.
Yeah. And by the end of Sunday, we're all going to be experts.
Well, no, the truth is, those skates are massive on me, innit? I'm like, well, even a pair of shoes, like, so when I used to have the new school shoes, when I'm that much smaller than everyone, my ankle would catch on the top of the shoe. So I'd always have to put a little bit of cardboard in just to lift me up that bit above the shoe. My boots, as you know, my knee-high boots, I have to take to a saddler to trim them because I'm like pussy in boots. Well, it's the same thing with these skates, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So I really should have thought this out. And there's a pair of skates I really love on eBay, which I think would do the trick. But it's just too short notice now. So I am going to have injuries because I've got rubber boots on. But
I wonder if you fit into...
But I could just go to Argos and get the ones that you strap over your trainers.
Oh.
You know, the learning ones. I just think they were so much easier for me. I think they'd be so much easier, but they would be easier for me because they would just fit me great. Yeah. But I'm used to rubber wheels now, aren't I?
Yeah, Layla's got some old ones there. They might fit you because you're only a size 3, aren't you?
Yeah.
And they're what do you call them when it's just the one set of wheels?
Oh no.
Blades. Rollerblades.
Come on now, Lou.
When they're called rollerblades.
Yeah, come on now, Lou. One step at a time.
What time is this skate-a-thon then on Saturday?
It starts at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
And it finishes 2 p.m. on the Sunday.
2 till 2.
I'm absolutely knackered now. All our work today, come back, I should be sleeping by 6:30. I'm hanging on here, you know.
Like anyone, like anybody who's about, like even if you just pop down for an hour if you're in the area, you know, because we're going to be like, we're going to want to see new faces as well. We're really going to appreciate any support, and we want people as well to help out giving out leaflets as well. I know we've had a couple of volunteers come forward. So, you know, if you are in the area, or if you just fancy, you know, a little walk, a walk down a beautiful, in some beautiful sunshine, a beautiful place, then come down, have a chat with us, have a coffee.
And the thing is, even if you haven't got, you know, if you haven't got transport or you live up the valley or something, it's a really good day out. Jump on a bus, guys. And you know what? If there's somebody there who needed a lift home, right? We're all there. We're all drivers. We're gonna look after each other. We're gonna make sure your kids feel comfortable. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's just all come together. I just don't understand why we don't just come together.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good opportunity for us all to come together because, you know, there's a lot of people that we meet online, you know, on Facebook, on Instagram, and, you know, we don't ever actually get to meet. So this is an absolutely amazing opportunity because we're going to be there for a whole 24 hours as well. It's not like, you know, like where we've had demos in the past or where we've had events. It's usually for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're actually there for a whole 24 hours. So, yeah, I'm really hoping to meet some new people that, you know, that we haven't met, who we know from online. So, yeah, be lush. Great opportunity to get together.
They'd be shocked and see how tall me and you really are.
Yeah. or how short we are, you mean?
No, we're much taller in real life than what we look on the screen.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
How tall I am with my skates, Phil?
You're still only up to my chest.
I can still throat punch out.
Yeah, you think you'd have to jump on a trampoline to do that one.
Don't you start me off now, honest life.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
So, I start shouting.
Yeah, it's 2 p.m. Saturday, and it starts over at Aberarwyn Beach, and then we're going to Bagland. What park is it?
So Bagland Energy Park, right next to the council offices. So there's a lay-by opposite the council depot, you know, where the main offices are, and they keep their grit and stuff like that in there. So right opposite there is a lay-by, but we'll be next to that on the grass. We'll have a couple of tents there. You'll see a couple of banners. Do you know what would be really good though, guys? It would be really good if we could actually get people at our camp to chill out for most of the day anyway. So if being sociable and, you know, being in a crowd of people isn't your thing, and you'd rather go and chill at our camp and wait for us to come down later on, do you know what? You'd actually be doing us a favour. Even if you wanted to stay at our camp afterwards when we go down to Aberarwyn Promenade then to finish things off, like I said, you'd be doing us a favour anyway. Just come along, you know, like I said, everybody's going to have a warm welcome. We can all pull it together, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I almost forgot as well. We're going to be doing a raffle as well with some really good prizes. So, so, you know, that'll be really good. They're brilliant, some lovely prizes for children. So, yeah, that's another perk to come in along on Saturday.
Yeah, so we'll get a raffle going as well, guys. Obviously, for the public's a bit more difficult because there'll be people passing by. So we'll just take numbers and we'll set the prices as first, second, third. And we'll probably grab a bottle of something to go in there as well, Lou, shall we?
Why not?
Yeah, we could do a little hamper or something to go in there. Yeah. Just come along. Just come along. If transport's an issue, give us a ring beforehand. We'll just help each other out.
Something out, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm going to be there for 24 hours as well. I'll be doing a 24-hour live-a-thon. So basically,
unless we fall out after 11 hours.
Yeah, well, it could be a good possibility. But I would like somebody to take my batteries at around about 11 o'clock, my spare batteries, the ones that I've used from 2 till 11, to go and recharge them. Because obviously I'm going to have to go live until 2 o'clock. I've got 6 batteries already, but I need them all fully charged. So come about 11 o'clock. If somebody is going home or disappearing, if they can let me know, as long as they're coming back the next day, obviously, to bring back the batteries. so I can carry on doing the live, obviously to help you out. I will be putting out the postcode of where you're going to be staying. I will be putting the links up during the live regarding the donations, where you can sponsor you. I will be doing that all the way through as well. So please support these girls. Please.
Yeah, come on, guys. Let's do it. We can have some fun. I think this is this is the little lift that we need. We needed this 2 years ago. This is what we needed 2 years ago.
Yeah, definitely.
And we could have smashed this before it even got voted in, but we didn't have that. And it's no use trying over spilt milk when you go buy carb in the cupboard, is it?
Absolutely not.
So let's go and sprinkle out bicarb and clean this up. Clean up the sour milk.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I'm going to finish the show now. I'd like to thank you both for coming on. It's a very important issue for myself, like Dimmy, and obviously I got grandchildren as well. So this is why I support you, Per, because I support the whole of PCP group, because at the end of the day, you do so much work for the children, as far as I'm concerned. It's just amazing how much time you put into it. I know Kim personally herself. She was actually ill. She was actually doing her masters, and she was still working on PCP Wales. So it's a big shout out for you, Kim, for doing what you do. And the same with us.
Me working from my bed on the living room floor. You seen it?
Yeah, I have. It's the same as Lucia. She's got a full-time job. She's an accountant. She supports PCP Wales. She's always on the demos. She's always got the time for PCP Wales, and she supports them. So a big up for the pair of you, because what you do is amazing, and you're doing it for our children, our grandchildren, and the future children of our country.
Yeah.
And hopefully another 52 countries as well.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, our audience hasn't been born yet, Phil. That's what I've been saying since day one. Our audience hasn't been born yet, So we're relying on the audience of today to help us look after the one of tomorrow.
Yeah, brilliant. So thank you both for coming on the show.
Thank you, Phil. Really appreciate all your support as well. You've been amazing all the way through, this, or our journey. You've been there every step of the way. So thank you. Yeah,
but she will say that because she doesn't speak to you as much as I do. So.
Right, here we go. You're right again. So yeah, I'll be seeing the pair of you on Saturday. I'll be there on about 1:30. I'll be coming around your house first because I got a couple of tables I got to put in the back, don't I?
Tables and chairs.
Yeah, I'll come around about 1:00, and I'll see you all Saturday. And thank you for coming on the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Ciao, ciao.
No star. Right. I'll take you off now. Right, folks. A very interesting show. It's a very important issue, really, regarding sex education and the education of our children. It's something to be watching my live on Saturday. I will be live on Facebook. Hopefully, I might be able to go live on YouTube. I haven't decided yet. But please support me. Support the PCP Wales, because they're supporting your children and their future education, folks. So I'm gonna cut the show now, and I'm gonna do my usual ending, and hopefully I will see you all Saturday. No star all. Good night all. And
okay, picking it up here in Wilmington, North Carolina, right at the Intercoastal. We're in one of these bands. So
that's my site, Dell, in Wilmington, North Carolina. But as he races and fights to win Friday, check out the two guys who seem to walk right by him in the background there with no trouble at all. The video has been shared more than 1 million times on social media. Now let's go.
Cruising, musing, looking for some news and losing it's amusing. Other people choosing the topics I can view and the subjects I can chew on, the facts that I can spew and the news they put their slew on. Twisty, turny, wriggly, wormy, squealy, squirmy news. Psychopathic journalists deceiving with their views. Tightening like a tourniquet, they're aiming to confuse. Nightly negative narratives narrating you the blues. Blues and twos, new taboos, the pastor's all sold out. The hurricane's incoming and the world is dying out. Asteroids, blasteroids, steroids in their tails. The windiest ever windy gales are blowing in the dales. The sea levels are rising breathing at a super duper rate. 247 365, the caliphate's your fate. Tidal waves are waving like the death rays from the sun. Duck and cover, stand your ground, there's nowhere else to run.
Now, more on the latest building collapse in New York. You might have heard a few moments ago it was talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing, and indeed it has. Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse?
Well, only really what you already know. Details are very, very sketchy.
Writing, fighting, to publish stuff exciting. Losing is amusing, other people choosing the posts that I can post and the documents I can read from, the info I can feed from, the facts the checkers get wrong. Sleazy, slimy, geeky, grimy, blackout, soulless tech, concluding with a clickety-click what's wrong and what's correct. Politically encouraged with protection from the law. They're getting pretty ruthless now, they panicking for sure. Scrubbing out the info like a scrubber in a tub, deleting the derogatory of the members in their club. Documents and studies disappear without a trace. Psychopathic moral less they're doing it in your face. The info is erasing at a super duper rate. Breach community standards, your account will feel a fate. Post a funny meme means that you hate and are extreme. No chance of an appeal cause you're white and so supreme. Doctors, nurses, scientists and servants, real boys made from wood, covering for the perverts, defining definitions that will put you in a spin. Anything of interest gets filed in recycled bin. Algorithms algorizing the content that you post, collecting information, long-term storage with a host. Five Eyes keeping eyes on you, they're eyeing up your speech, using legal loopholes to conduct a data breach. Unqualified assessors banning stuff they do not like. Since early 2020 this has reached a massive spike. You're swimming in a dirty swamp, the swamp is full of pike. Post a touchy subject and receive a community strike. Unelected unofficials making up the rules. Billion-dollar corporations governing the schools. Satanic worship dictators who distribute the tools. Pervy public servants act like Hitler with the Jews.